Welcome into tonight here, another Topic of the Week video. And this week I'll be discussing Persona 5. This week's topic was submitted by Tumblr anon, and their topic is: what about Persona 5 do you love? What criticisms do you have regarding the plot and or characters? Okay, I really loved Persona 5. Like, it's not perfect, but overall it was really good. I played it with Angel in 89 because it was on her copy on her PS4, and I enjoyed it almost the entire way through. And even then, it's not like when you play some games and it's like, it's great, and then you get to the end and it's like, ugh. It's actually like, oh, it's great, and then there's just a few sprinkles here and there. And, okay, so I'll be discussing some spoilers. I won't be going too deep into this, but, this will have spoilers for Persona 5. I want to warn you because genuinely, I think this is a good game. I would recommend playing it. It's just some issues. And it's stuff that I really would hope to see get fixed in a sort of Persona 4 Golden style re-release. A remake, really. Just fix some issues. Like Akechi. Okay. I love Persona 5's story. It's great. I love the characters. I love the villains. I love the side characters. I love the supporting cast. There's one character in particular that sticks out. Some of the side characters are, alright, Some of the confidants are, it's just decent. But the one character that sticks out as bad is freaking Akechi. Now, I won't be spending too much time just diving into Akechi because me and Angel are actually going to be making a dedicated Akechi video at some point. So, yeah, look forward to that in the future. So, I'm only going to go over some of the issues with Akechi. Okay. Akechi is basically this game's Adachi. He's the character who's the twist villain. He seems like he's friendly only to turn out to be the bad guy. Only this time, I have no idea what they were thinking with Akechi. Because Akechi doesn't even make any sense. Like, as a character, he genuinely doesn't make any sense. When you actually factor in the plot, Akechi is so illogical. Now, I heard Akechi was a last-minute addition because they wanted a traitor. They wanted, like, you had all these characters, these great characters, and it doesn't make sense for any of the Phantom Thieves to turn traitor. So, I mean, it makes sense to invent a character to be dedicated to being the traitor. But what they did was terrible. Because it's so obvious. It's so obvious that he's a lying scumbag from the very beginning. I mean, not only does he hate the Phantom Thieves, and then he turns around and he's like, oh guys, by the way, I really like the Phantom Thieves and I want to join you now. And that happens near the, like, not at the very end of the game, but sort of on the tail end of the game. Where it's just like, oh, well, he's there for 5 minutes, and then he betrays them, and they're just like, oh, the traitor. I'm like, what? What? I mean, it's so obvious that I wasn't spoiled to the actual story, but at the very beginning, I had heard that, I knew about the characters, like I knew what their personalities were, and I knew that Akechi was sort of like, haha, look at me, I'm so friendly kind of guy. So at the very beginning, when Ren is being pushed down, and the guy says, your friend sold you out, I was like, and I was playing this with Angel Rin, I was like, Akechi, I knew it. And she was just like, stop predicting the plot. And I'm like, are you serious? I was joking. Because it just seems so obvious. And yeah, he's the traitor. It's not well implemented at all. His character is so forced. And it's so weird because they repeat problems that they made with Adachi in the original Persona 4 that were fixed in Golden. Like in the original Persona 4, Adachi had an automatic confidant, or I don't remember what they're all called in the different games, but basically it's the same thing. And then or social link, I think is what it is. And then you have, in Persona 4 Golden, they made it so, no, you go and talk to him. So it feels a little more natural, like, oh, he's just another one. It's not, oh, it's really important. Oh, with Akechi, it's like, no, he shows up, boom, confidant. Oh, well, okay. So it's obvious that he's super important, and it's just, he's so forced. And on top of that, his motivations are completely illogical. Like, okay, so he wants to get revenge. And so he becomes a mass murdering assassin. And then the game is just like, oh, but look, Akechi had a sad backstory. And it's one of those things where the game desperately wants you to feel sorry for him, but he's such an absolute psychotic, evil scumbag. I'm like, but why? Especially when he's involved in the death of main character's parents. He killed Haru's dad, and he killed Futaba's mom. Like, Haru's dad was a dick, but Futaba's mom was completely innocent. And they completely skate over this. They go, oh, well, you know, you sure did bad things, but it's okay, Akechi, because you had a sad childhood. And it's like, wait a minute, what? I don't even get a say in this? Like, if they had at the very least had given you an option and being like, okay, you want to be sympathetic to Akechi or not, and then everyone just kind of follows you, that would have been one thing. But they don't. It's just, boom, feel sorry for Akechi, and here's a sudden redemption death that comes out of nowhere, like 5 minutes after he was screaming how he'd love to slaughter and murder everyone. No, it's not good. And every time he shows up in the story, it just, the enjoyment drops. It's just like, Akechi. So I won't be talking too much about Akechi because just because there's so much to talk about, because a lot of the bad stuff in the game and a lot of the bad stuff in the story actually relates to him. It's like this game is shining gold. It's like, then you got this black smudge on it that's Akechi. Now, there are a few other issues that you can find in the game. One other thing that really kind of annoys me, and it affects a lot of other people more than me, is that you have some characters that come in very late. And it's not so much that they come in later in the story, like Haru. Haru comes in pretty late in terms of the actual story. That's not really my problem. The more is just, when they do come in, you have so little time to actually do their confidant. You have to freaking min-max everything and have all of your stats up. You basically can't even do this stuff until you've got all your stats up. And you can just basically do anyone's confidant, you know, whenever you want. It's like, and it's kind of a chore. Like, okay, I get it. They do want to incentivize replaying the game. But I'd like to be able to do Haru's, you know, confidant aside from that. Now, I mean, this stuff can actually have a very easy fixes. All you need to do is have, say, Haru introduced earlier, and not as a main character, but just say that she's a confidant. And you could maybe do a few steps of a confidant, and then, okay, then you reach a certain point where you have to wait until she's recruited into the Phantom Thieves. Simple enough. Especially since her confidant is very much not totally connected to the Phantom Thieves. It's all about, it's mainly about her trying to figure out what she wants to do for her own cafe. So you can still do some of that. So that way, when she actually joins, you only have to do a handful of, you know, more confidant steps before you max it out. So, I mean, and you could do this with other characters too. I mean, they actually do this with what's his name? I can't. Sojiro. How can I forget Sojiro, the boss? Because once you reach a certain level of his confidant, you have to wait until you go through the whole stuff with Futaba, and then you can, alright, and then Futaba becomes involved in it. It's stuff that's already done in the game. I also think that maybe they should have allowed you to have a little bit more time. I'm not saying that they needed to have, like, every single day have, like, free time, but, like, maybe, like, on the weekends you could have a little bit of extra time, or just squeeze in some extra time so you can do some of the more confidants. I mean, and I would have loved to have seen some of the confidants that you do have, like Hifumi and Mishima, actually have them be, like, Phantom Thieves. Because I know Hifumi was actually originally planned to be a Phantom Thief, but because she and Makoto ended up being redundant, they ended up kind of cutting her. It really would make sense if she was queen and Makoto was something else, like maybe like chief, because she wants to go into the police. Because Hifumi has the whole queen thing with leading her troops, with the shogi and all the drama stuff like that. That would have been funny. And I would have really loved to have seen her, you know, be a part of the Phantom Thieves. I would hope that maybe they could fit her in somehow in a re-release. It also would have been nice because you can sort of expand the whole thing with Yusuke's school, because we don't really get a whole lot on that. There's another problem that I have with this game. Why are there adult romances in it? Now, I get it. Personally, I love the characters like Kawakami and Oya and Tai. I mean, I get it. I get it. I really like them. But the problem is, it's not whether I like them. Any other circumstances, I totally would have romanced Kawakami. But when you look at the context of the game, the character is 17. He's a high school student. These are adult women. Some of them are much older than him. Why is there a romance option for them? It's so weird. And Kawakami is literally his teacher. Look, I get it. I mean, as an adult myself, I would definitely go for one of the adults like Kawakami. But why is this allowed for a teenager? I mean, it's not even like he's 18, which still, even then, it's still, you have some age differences there, and it's still weird because Kawakami is his teacher. You mean I almost said the wrong name for, Frick. The fortune teller lady. It's like, you have these characters who are definitely adults. And they even point out, like in Oya's confidant, they point out, yeah, it's kind of messed up for a kid to be dating an adult. And she only pretends to date Ren because she's trying to distract that guy from the fact that she's continuing her investigation into what happened to her friend. And then she's just like, no, yeah, that's messed up. Why would I date a teenager? Like, yeah, why would you? And I know there are people who really like those romance options, but to be perfectly honest, I would think that it would be better if they were just outright removed. And this isn't even really some moral... This isn't censoring or policing. It's just messed up. It's really messed up to have a kid dating an adult, especially... Kawakami is the worst. Especially since it doesn't even make any sense with her confidant. Because you go through her whole confidant at Kawakami, and Kawakami very much comes off as a mother figure to Ren. She definitely feels more like she's supposed to be like a mother to him. The way she nags him and, tells him about how he needs to eat right. It's so weird. Like, it's weird and it's kind of creepy, to be perfectly honest. It's like, and I know there would be people in an uproar, but it's wrong. And it really does screw up some of the confidants, especially Kawakami's, because it's like you do this... Kawakami has this amazing confidant. She has so much depth to her character, and there's so much emotion in it. And then it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, also you can date your teacher at the end. It's like, what? Please, just the option should just not be there. Yeah, overall though, there's really not a whole lot to complain about with Persona 5. I like the gameplay. I love the characters. I love a lot of the confidants too. I mean, I would have liked to have seen more confidants. Like I said, some of the characters would be nice to join. I mean, if they added more confidants, I think it would actually be required that they would just squeeze in a little bit more space in, for certain days. Particularly like if they're like vacation days. It's like, okay, so let's just have a little bit extra time in there just so that you have more time to do those confidants. And I also would like to see, if they did a re-release, I'd really like to see them add more of the, add more mementos requests to do. Because those are fun and I like seeing those. And I would really love to see, especially with Mishima and how he always gives you more mementos requests. I mean, shoot, you could just have him give you more. You don't even need to work this in too hard. Yeah, overall, Persona 5 is a really good game. And I know I'm harping on these criticisms because, well, some of the stuff really does bother me. Especially Akechi. Holy crap, Akechi. But I mean, it's so weird because so much of the game is so good. And it's like, in these moments, these few flaws stick out. Like, I genuinely enjoyed playing through this whole game. Going into the palaces, going and playing through, setting up your teams, managing your personas. It's so fun. It's so good. And the story overall is really good. I haven't actually touched on the spoilers for the good stuff because there's a lot of good stuff in this. But it's like the Akechi is one of the only issues with the plot. I mean, sure, if you really wanted to, you can change a few things up here and there. Maybe make things flow a little more, maybe give a little bit more time for certain things. But overall, Persona 5 is a great story. And even some of the stuff with Akechi, it's like, on one hand, they're like, okay, here's this stupid stuff, but then they're like, okay, we kind of fix it, and then it's like another writer is like, no, Akechi must be praised, or it really does feel like, it really feels like they had some writers who were disagreeing, especially with Akechi. Because the way the characters react to Akechi can change dramatically. It feels really inconsistent with some of these characters. Like, why in the world would Ryuji, a character who's so against Akechi from the beginning, suddenly turn around and be like, oh wow, I feel sorry for you? Like, no, of course he would never. No, it's dumb. And what Haru and Futaba forgiving Akechi, and even if they try to make it sound like, well, we're not really forgiving. No, really, like, why are they glazing over this? He caused him pain and suffering. He ruined Futaba's life by killing her mom and getting her stuck in an abusive family. Oh, but it's okay because Akechi had a sad childhood. Everyone else in the fandom thinks had a sad childhood, so he's not really special at all. But okay, yeah. The true details, the true depth of the issues with Akechi will have to go into an actual specific video for that. But it's so hard because when I look at this, I'm like, 90% of my problems with this story have to do with Akechi. Because even the way he connects to some of the stuff, like some of the way he connects to stuff does make sense and I can see it, but the way they wrote it was bad because they really flip-flop between, is Akechi an irredeemable monster, or is Akechi actually sympathetic but just someone who had sort of fallen down the slippery slope? The game doesn't really know. It kind of ends up settling on, he's okay. What's so funny is that after he's like gone from the story, they pretty much just barely even mention him after that, and it's almost like he's completely forgotten. It's so funny. It's genuinely funny, just because it's like, wow, he really didn't matter all that much, did he? Oh, yeah. There's one more thing that really annoyed me, and it's sort of a small thing. Like, there are a lot of little nitpicks I can make here and there, but there's one thing that really annoyed me, was that at the end of the game, there's a part where Ryuji tries to sacrifice. It's not like the end of the game, but like when there's a part where he goes to sacrifice himself, and he gets everyone out alive and seemingly dies in the process. Press F for respect. But then it turns out that he managed to make it out alive, and then the girls all get mad and like beat him up. And it's played off like a comedy moment, like, you made us all worry about you and we were crying. And I'm like, okay, but he still sacrificed himself for everyone. Like, it may be a playful, like, a punch, like, oh, you dummy kind of a thing, maybe, but, like, actually hitting him, I'm like, no. Stop, like, Ryuji can act like an idiot. Ryuji can be a perverted moron. But when he does something genuinely heroic, don't punish him for that. And honestly, it's hard, because I remember I watched that part and I'm like, huh? Why did they do that? Like, okay, if they just kind of got all huffy and said, we were worried about you, why did you just come back like that? And it's like, you made us worry for nothing, and then they storm off. That would have been fine. But no, it's just, it's kind of disrespectful when Ryuji does something genuinely great and he's punished for it. Oh, thanks Ryuji for attempting to sacrifice your life to save everyone. You survived, how dare you? It's okay, no, but genuinely, let me talk positively for a minute here, because I want to talk a little bit. I feel bad because I'm focusing on some of the negatives here. I'm making this sound worse than it really is, because the actual problems are genuinely a small part of the actual game. One thing that this game has in abundance is style. The menus, the music, just the sheer presentation. You go into the pause menu and it looks cool. The way the colors are done, the designs. You have, like if you go to the different shops, all of them have these unique menu designs. It's not just a basic menu. No, like all of them are stylistically different. You know, they look different. It's actually really cool that they put the effort into making that work. And showing, oh yeah, these are the different characters, and the different menus reflect these characters. The music is amazing. And I've talked about this a bit before. I said this in my Smash speculation video when I was talking about Joker, and how getting like Persona 5 music in Smash would be amazing. And like so many great songs in Persona 5, Rivers in the Desert, Beneath the Mask, of course, The Last Surprise. I mean, and shoot, just so much good music. I mean, I love listening to just the soundtrack, even just some of the remixes, like from the dancing game. There's one of my favorites is the Rivers in the Desert remix that they have in there. But yeah, so much great music. The style of the game is incredible. Like it's no wonder that when Masahiro Sakurai was talking about, you know, things that influenced Smash Brothers, especially the design, that he pointed to Persona 5 and its UI. Like that's incredible. Yeah, and overall, I mean, a lot of people know that I'm really picky when it comes to story. I mean, I make videos all about this. But the story of Persona 5 is really good. I genuinely want to stress the story is great, except for Akechi. And even then, for the most part, Akechi's not even, like, really, you could probably go at least 85-90% without really dealing with Akechi. Even in a part where he joins your team, you could pretty much just ignore him. I mean, sure, there's some stupidities involved with him, but for the most part, the game is great. And the way it deals with a lot of these characters, and the way it shows, you see all these different characters that fit so thematically well in terms of the story. The idea of kids being manipulated or trampled on by adults with Ryuji, Anne, Haru, Yusuke, Futaba, Makoto. It's great to see all these characters, and I really liked how when they were showing how these people get their personas, because you know in the games, getting your personas is done in a particular way. Like in Persona 4, they had a very specific way of, you know, facing your own shadow. And they actually reference that a bit in Persona 5, because that's how Futaba confronts her shadow. It's not just, oh, well, you break the bonds of rebellion or whatever they say, and you just get really pissed off and pull off the mask. It's done in a few different ways, and I do like that. And I do like them showing some of the different ways that happens. There's so much good stories here. I love the antagonists. I love all the different antagonists with the palaces. And I love how they deal with that. And I love how they show that a lot of these people, they want to make these people better. And the only way to do that is to give them a change of heart. Like, alright, I won't delve too deeply into this stuff, but, you know, talking about, like, the first one, Kamoshida. It's just like, oh yeah, this perverted monster who sexually assaults, you know, teenage girls. It's like, oh yeah, you know, they go to change his heart so that he confesses to his crimes. It's like, no, and I really love that. It's like, no, they're not just going and killing someone. They actually take painful, you know, they go out of their way to not kill people. It's a big discussion on how what they do affects people, and I like that. There are a few bumps in the road, and like there's a part where like Morgana gets mad and leaves the team and then comes back shortly afterwards. I mean, there's a few little issues here and there, but again, I want to stress this. Persona 5 is a great story, but I'm not going into all of the spoilers because there's so much depth going on in this game, and there's so much time to spend playing this game. It's a long story. So I don't want to spoil it. I really I really don't want to spoil everything. And I would recommend, and this game has a recommendation from me, even with all of its flaws, even with all the flaws in the game, especially Akechi, I would recommend this game. I genuinely would, because I loved it, and I would play it again. If they come out with a Persona 5 re-release on the Switch, or a remake or whatever, even if it's just a port, I would buy that game and play it. Because I really love Persona 5. So I think that's about where I'm going to stop this for today. If you want to submit a topic to me, you can comment below if you're on YouTube. If you're on Tumblr, you can send me an ask and put topic : then whatever topic you want me to talk about. Or you can also submit topics to me on my Discord, linked below. Just make sure to follow the rules that I'll be posting down below. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. So what do you love about Persona 5, and what do you not like about Persona 5? Please comment below, and thank you for watching.